To set up a point cache, I'm going to use an import-export feature that has been available to XSI since version 6, I believe. If you look under the File menu, we have the ability to import and export files in a number of varieties. But at the bottom, we can also export in a format called PointOven, which bakes out files to a format that evaluates the position of points through time. So basically, we can take any one of our rigs here and convert it to a series of point animations, or point caches, position per point over time. So what I need to do is actually set up the point reader on the resolution that I'm referencing, and I also need to put a reader on the point cache model resolution as well. So again, we've got our scene saved, so I'll just resave, kind of jump out of the scene here, and I'll open up my browser and bring in the point cache model. Now on this model, I actually want to read from a point cache so I can animate this model. So I'm going to grab all the pieces of geometry, jogging suit through to pupil, and under the File Import menu, I'm going to bring in a PointOven Reader. So this is a reader that reads files in the MDD file format, the motion deformation file format. And all we need to do here is specify a name per object. So if you look underneath my jogging suit object now, it's got a scripted operator, PointOven Reader, as does the geometry, etc. So now that I've got a reader on my my character, I can actually move it up into a higher animation stack as well if I don't want to, accidentally freeze the modeling. So I could do the same thing with my other pieces of geo. Actually, I'll just kind of close them up one at a time. And then I'll export this model. I'll actually freeze the center of that pupil there. In fact, I'll freeze the modeling stack of all the objects. And I'll re-export the point cache. So export that, overwrite the old file. And now I'll Control-N to get rid of that model. I'll open up the browser again, and I'm going to bring in the model resolution that contains the bones and the actual animation. So the cloth medium res rig model is the one that is actually going to take a lot of the mocap or the function curve data. So the one the animators are going to use. So on each of the pieces of geometry in the file, jogging suit, if I look under the geo group, the pupils, eyes, etc., I'm going to actually do an export on those. So if I look under the export menu, I'll do a PointOven, and I'll apply a PointOven Baker to these files. So you actually only need to add the property once. And what we want to do with the PointOven Baker is add in the selected objects. So if I pick a bunch of objects here, I can say add selected, and we need to just choose a frame. I know that I've got a 350 frame sequence, and when dealing with the meshes, we pick a folder where to export our files. So in this case, I want to choose the file format to export in. I'm going to export in the MDD file format when I do so. And I want to pick a file folder in which to save. So if I navigate to my D drive, into my XSI projects folder, into my XSI 7 training project, I'll make a folder in here specifically for PointOven cache files. So I'll select that as my folder, and the file prefix here will be, in this case, maybe just gun. We can make this whatever we want. As far as the motions go, we could even separate motions, sort of CRT, SRT animation into separate files. But in this case, I'm not going to worry about that. I'll close this down now. And export the model. Okay, so there's my PointOven Baker. That's what I wanted to do there. The problem with the point oven I was finding was I couldn't actually see the property. I forgot that it actually adds itself to the scene root. So the point oven baker, I've still got everything embedded, except it's just sitting inside of my model now. That's what I actually need to export with the scene. So I'll export that model, overwrite the old one. And now if I open up the reference model, I should be able to write out PointOven files and also read them. So we'll reopen our scene now and make this